It's all smiles for boat captain Isak Brandt, who's traveling through Greenland's Nuuk Fjord. 4,000 kilometers away in Davos, Switzerland, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced he will not use force to annex Greenland, putting Brandt and many others slightly more at ease. For now at least, Greenland's position as a territory of NATO member Denmark is intact, and a crisis that threatened to fracture the alliance averted.
It feels like a huge relief in many ways, because of course I and many other Greenlandic people have been super worried about what might happen, because there have been talks about using force. So it makes me super relieved, but again, you never know with Donald Trump.
And that uncertainty is being felt by many other Greenlanders too.
I'm just thrilled that he has now announced that, but I'm also keeping my hopes down and still hoping for the best and preparing for the worst, because sometimes he can be saying a lot of stuff.
Trump hasn't given up on taking Greenland. He says if the U.S. doesn't have it, adversaries like China or Russia will take it for themselves. Military takeover may be off the table, but some of what he said in his speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos raised alarm bells.
Mr. President, when you said you would remember if Denmark did not agree to a deal on Greenland, what did you mean? What are the consequences?
You'll have to figure that out for yourself. You're a smart guy.
But the temperature is lower than it was earlier this week. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has met with Trump to discuss Greenland, and this is how he sees things.
Of course, I see that there are these tensions at the moment. There's no doubt. Again, I'm not going to comment on that, but I can assure you the only way to deal with that is, in the end, thoughtful diplomacy.
After the meeting, Trump made a second about-face, canceling punitive tariffs he'd planned on 8 European countries opposed to his Greenland plans. Trump says there's now a framework for a deal on Greenland and its role in a missile defense shield. No details on that yet. Europe's line is firm. There can be dialogue, but Denmark's sovereignty over Greenland is not up for discussion.
Denmark holder vores aftaler, og den aftale vi har indgået.
Denmark is keeping our agreements, and the agreement we made in Washington last week with his vice president and his foreign minister that we will start high-level discussions to see if we are able to accommodate the American concerns that, as I also understand the president touched upon in his speech, in a way that respects our red lines. That is what we can negotiate about. Well, we are not starting any negotiations based on giving up some basic principles. We will never do that.
And so the next step in the Greenland crisis will come down to whether Trump will accept the red lines Denmark's put down. And if not, how he might respond. Luffy Lee and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.